Hello, 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 everyone. It's Father Aaron, the Dungeon Minister. And we're going to paint tonight a little bit together. Well, I mean, I'm here, you're there, but maybe you're painting, I'll be painting, we can paint together. Get out a mini, start painting it. Even if all you have is house paint. There, all flat. That's fine. That's fine. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope all are well. Hello, Nordic. Hello, Robert in the chat. Good to see you. Good to see you. Or rather to see words on the screen with your names attached to them. I'm being literal tonight. My product placement. Come on, Canada Dry. Come through with an endorsement or a sponsorship. Come on. Handling work email. Hello, Charles. How are you doing? Hello, Negative Headspace. I would paint in miniature, but I have to wait till Friday to place an order to Pendrake and miniatures for some American War of Independence troops. So alas, you shall not be painting. Hello, hello, Hungar. Good to see you, buddy. How are things going down your way? I hope all is well. I tuned in a couple of times to your brother's. I happened to catch one of your brother's live streams going, and I turned it on, and I thought, Mo, that's a little spicy even for me today. So I dipped in and dipped out. It is the only ginger ale. Thank you very much, Nordic. I believe so. I believe so. Well, what we're going to be getting to tonight, I'm not going to launch in just yet, but that is very good news, Hangar. That's very good news. I know you have been you've been in the hospital more regular than most of the staff, probably. Most of the doctors and nurses can't claim to have been there as much as you were. I'm glad to hear you're not. You're out. This is a... well, Gonzalo, Mellow Wheeling Dragon. Gonzalo, all he needs to do is go over to Kevin McLeod's, anyway, Kevin's website. That guy gives away his music for free and powers half of YouTube. This was a mini from Shadow and Son. Shadow sent a box of next level miniatures, which are very good. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get any free stuff, but I will say they're very good miniatures. Two things I like. One, they're relatively cheap. They don't cost a lot. Pardon me. Even factoring in shipping from the U.S. to Canada, they're still cheaper than getting WizKids or Reaper or any of those up here. So that's one great thing. Even figuring in that shipping, it's cheaper than buying them here. Greetings, Grumpy. So that's a good thing. The other thing I like about them is check out this pose. What's that dragon doing? He's all like, paint me. Go ahead. I'll raise my arms so you can get under my arms. I won't bend my elbows too tight, and I won't cover my face. Paint me. I swear, Touchberry got a blue dragon from Santa 3 years ago now. 2-3 years ago. 3. And it's a great mini. The sculpt looks good, but it's so hunched over. It's all like down like this and covering up its underparts that you can't get a brush in there to save your life. It's like the dragon is saying, I dare you to try. Go ahead, try to paint me. So one of the things, and I think they do it probably for an economic reason, because it's easier to open a mold like this. So they can use simpler molding system, I assume. I know nothing about this, but I know nothing about the process, but my assumption is this is an easier mold to work with than one that's all, so that's probably why they do it, but the effect for a painter, much easier. Lots of greetings and friendliness in the chat. That's lovely. Barely functional Charles is. I hope that is more to do with your D&D interest than your health, certainly. Yeah. Just before launching into the main story, I would be remiss if I did not remind everyone of CleriCon coming up at the end of October. We have had recently 2, 3, at least, maybe 4 games add. One of them wasn't an edition. We knew that that Hexpress was coming, that Todd was coming to do a game, but we didn't know what he was running. It turns out he's running his own game, which sounds pretty cool. I'll scroll down here. This is that's a shot from a couple of years back. That was 2023. But the whole, if you go to the website, which I'll actually put on the bottom of the page because I know what I'm doing. I'll put in the comments. Hey, Off Grid, how are you doing? How are you doing? Got a big metal black dragon that I've not even put together yet. I've had it for over a year. You know, a Nordicon. It does sound like a Transformer. So Bear is running a game. Thank you very much. Bear is running Valorous. But so if you go there, and yes, Robert, that's very generous of you, and I actually wanted to touch base with you about that at some point. I'll catch you on Discord. I'll catch you on Discord. Where are my buttons? Okay. So you get the whole schedule's all laid out here. Opening dinner, opening night games. We may be adding a 4th table on opening night. I think we did last year. Maybe we just had 3 last year. The first year we just had 1, my table, and then the next year we had, last year I think we had 3. So we may add another one. But so it's going to be some cool stuff. Hexpress is doing his game is called Troop Doomsday. Compact rules, light tabletop role-playing system, and it's like an Arthurian world. And it's Hexpress, so it's going to be cool. We got Classic Traveler going on. We got AD&D. We've got Forbidden Psalm, which is a tactical miniatures game, and it's kind of based on Mork Borg. So the miniatures are really grody, and Chris is bringing all the good stuff. Arwich Grinder from Dungeon Crawl Classics. We got Dolmen Wood is going on. Valorous, there's Bear, table 4 for the Saturday morning. We got Back Me. Rob's running Back Me. Claude Limburger has written his own. It's a sort of OSC 5e mashup. It's 5e running like an old school game, so it's, I think, a bit deadlier than 5e tends to be. And of course, Tale of the Manticore running OSE. So there's lots of stuff. I'm not going to go through all the games. There's gobs of stuff. I mean, it just keeps going. The onion eating contest there. Bob Johnny's onion eating contest. Touchberry won the first year against Grumpy Old Slan, which was really quite lovely. And last year, Ye Old Geek won it, and he had stiff competition in that, including Touchberry, who was close on his heels. I think Pate Minis Live was the 2nd place. And there's Grumpy running some Gamma World for us. Lots of folks running lots of stuff. I'm not looking at the chat right now, so if I'm not answering you, it's not me ignoring you. It's that I'm doing this instead. I'm looking at this screen. So anyway, lots of great stuff. Lots of people. I have to update the list of people coming because I've got absolutes from all of those folks. Of course, the consignment table will be going again. It was really big last year. I think it's going to get bigger again. But anyway, cool stuff. If you are in the area, or if you have an itch to travel, come on by. We had, we've got obviously Ye Old Geek, his 2nd year coming from the UK. We've had people up from Tennessee, people over from New York, people from Montreal, all sorts of good stuff. So, and Bear's coming from Montreal, so it's Grumpy. I'm doing well off grid. I'm doing pretty well. Working on about 5 other mini rule sets. That's the thing, Charles, when you end up playing, like, when your game is playing games and you've got like 6 different rule sets on the go and trying to keep all that in your head. Stress. I wish you called, brother. White box and supplements. Yeah, Nordic, it's not going to be everyone's, the 5e running as an old school. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's trying to recognize the things that 5e did bring to the table, and then but to make it again a little more grindy, a little less railroady. I wish you could make it too. Wheeling, that'd be great. And dungeon generator doc from Wiley Games. Cool. Druid duty interferes, but one must attend to children of the forest. Well, good evening, Midnight's Lair. How are you doing? Midnight, I was going to send you a message, and I didn't get to it yet, but the boys have already played a game of villains and vigilantes. I don't know how it went, because it was the day, I think it was the day I was running to go do the funeral or the wedding, one of the two. I had the first week of my vacation at a wedding and a funeral, but they were they were playing and having a good time. I think they were laughing quite a bit about. I think they were getting into the camp of superheroes. At least the Library of Napoleonic Battles is an easy rule to keep heads. You can learn those other rules. Hey, all right. Something in my pocket keeps hollering at me. None of it is. All right. So I'm now going to, having, advertised the con, anyone who can, check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think next year, maybe Midnight's Lair, if you can come, even if you can, I think there probably will be a villains and vigilantes, because I suspect Fleetwood will run that next year. Hello, Jay Tyler. So, having gotten the obligatory advertisement in the beginning, I'm going to turn to the work at hand. As I say, this mini is from Shadow and Sun. So, Shadow, if you see this, thanks to you for that. How green will it be? Well, it's going to be green. This was actually, the color was voted on in a previous live stream. It was voted on a previous live stream. I said, what color mini should I make this? And y'all said green. So green it will be. There's my bag of non-tube chips. I was going to go over and get tube chips, and I got over there and I saw that those chips were so much cheaper than the tube chips. So I can get twice as many in a bag as in a tube. Now, I'm going to want a little more light. The brilliant thing about this light is that it can do that. Let me see. Gotta change it to a cleaner light, too. That's gobs of light for me to see by. There we go. So, how green is it going to be? Well, we've got the sort of belly and the underside of the tail. I'm actually going to make that, it's either going to be a yellow. That's a very bright yellow. A slightly less crazy yellow. This is a light cactus flower, it's called. It sounds kind of delicate for a dragon. Or a sort of taupey, emerald green. The greenest green I've got is, I believe, might be holiday. Well, holiday green is the colors. Let me dim it a little bit. That might make the color show a bit better. That's the other way. This green is about the kind of most popping green I've got. This is just this is grass green. That's not too bad. Leaf green is a real, that's going to be more for highlights. So I think I'll probably go with this one. Holiday. This is Christmas, which is a holiday, but it is a more muted green. I'll use that for some. I'm going to put a bunch of different greens on him, obviously. I'm not just going to slap one color on there. That's what I'm going to do, Nordic, right there. But I think the overwhelming I'm going to try was this. Now, as I have expressed in the past, I'm not actually that good at this. I know it's a great advertisement for continuing to watch. Oh, it's going to be bad. Okay, gosh, I want to watch that. But sometimes you do, don't you? Sometimes you want to watch it when it's not so good. As green as a landlubber during their first trip during a storm. Seasick and spithead was he. If you know that reference, cheers to you. Is it a swamp green dragon or a foresty green dragon? A foresty green dragon. A foresty. Your Sprite Zero Sugar? Well, there you go. There you go. I would love it if people sat around smoking pipes. All right, so I'm going to start with the underbelly. Okay. My tendency is to go with brown. I could do a maple. It's kind of a warmish brown. Or this, what do you guys think? A brown or a yellow for the underbelly? Because I'm thinking forest dragon, he's going to want to blend in. I think the brown would be better. But on the other hand, the yellow provides a nice pop. So tell me what you think, brown or yellow. I've got enough of each. Dragon is green road march. That was a vote taken in an earlier, that's a long time ago now, earlier live stream. My grandfather also smoked a pipe. Unfortunately, he also ended up developing lung cancer. So negative headspace is saying brown. Okay, well, it looks like so far we got brown. Hessian green. Yeah. A nice pipe smoke can be played. It really does smell quite nice. But it's what's doing inside your body. It's not so hot. Brown yellow mix if you want the tone to be warm. Well, this has a kind of rich. This is maple, country maple. It has a kind of warm brown tone. It's actually pretty nice. Well, you know what? That's at this point, yes. I heard somewhere that actually susceptibility to cancer is partly about how well we heal. It's because it's that cellular replication that actually ends up healing us. Also ends up being a problem. Okay. So we're going to start with this chest plates, and I'm just at this point I'm going to do them in this brown, and then I think I might do a real light dry brush in the lighter color. It's not that much lighter. I might actually find a lighter one or lighten it up a little, maybe with the yellow, the cactus flower yellow. It's just going to be the plates. I'm not too worried about it because, of course, I will go over this again. So where the layers meet, if I wanted that green and not, the brown, no problem. I'll just paint over it. And I know that this, I'm not doing the proper technique of watering down and all that kind of stuff. I'm I'm not at that level. I just am not. But I don't have to be. I have fun. So, hello, Manticore. How are you doing? How are things in your world? Just talking about CleriCon. Took your name in vain. No, not in vain. Mentioned you were running some stuff for us, which is awesome. We got to get that. I want to make sure people understand what Clayorama is. I have the feeling that if once people see it in action or understand where it comes from, it will be a popular addition. There's actually probably some kids who just go to church who, if they knew it was being played, might hop in for it. It's a couple of them I can very much see doing that. Has anyone on chat played other than Tale of Manticore, John? Has anyone on here played Clayorama before? There you go, Nordic. Paint to your own. Paint to your own. Hey, you finally got to play Shadow Dark. That's great. Oh, you're going to play it again at CleriCon, I believe. At least you signed up for it. No? The description of it sounds fabulous. You're given, I think it's 20 minutes to make a clay creature, and then the game runner assigns stats to it, strength and speed and that kind of stuff, and then you go to war, and they fight each other. It's sort of like robot battles, but with clay creatures. And I gather little bits of clay end up everywhere. Yes, midnight, that is precisely it. I had a feeling that if anyone here would have heard of it, it would have been you. Yeah, Zeb Cook for Dragon Magazine. It was just a article in a magazine, but I have to find out what this is off grid here, saying I sacrifice blood to the mosquitoes, blackened deer and horse flies to the woods per annum. Enough supply to make up for my brothers. In the scheme of things, I'm working for myself and the brothers. It does actually. It does sound cool. It's going to be a tournament. He's going to run it as a tournament. So Shadow Dark is a BX plus. What's the plus? Oh, I forgot the tail. What's the plus in Shadow Dark? I think I may have played Shadow Dark, actually. I'm terrible about this kind of stuff. I just show up and I'm like, tell me what dice to roll when, and I'll just do the role-playing bit. If someone just can, tell me, to roll this dice now to find out if it works. Okay. I remember what my, skills are and my weapons and all that kind of stuff. If it's the same game, I played a halfling, and halflings have a real stealth advantage, apparently, in that game, in whatever game I played, at least. And I was a halfling rogue or thief or whatever, And for most of it, I was kind of useless. I mean, I did my best, but most of what I did didn't end up actually having much effect because there were spellcasters who were just going crazy, right? Then we get to the final big bad, and it's some sort of lich or something like that, and he's blocking spells right, left, and center. And I take the opportunity to sneak around behind him and backstab. And would you believe it? Like, I rolled a 20 for it, I think. It was crazy. And it broke his concentration on his spells and did a lot of damage, and it was a great It was a great moment. I was pleased to be able to do something actually useful because I had been pretty useless the rest of the night. One problem with these painting live streams is I can't really watch the chat very closely because I've got my eyes on the mini, which is where they ought to be while painting. But you know, this is not a great brush. I'm gonna grab one. Bear ship wave. Hello, wave. Let's see. The fellow who DM'd the game I was in gave us all a coin that we could spend as like a luck point to redo a roll, and we would earn them for certain things in the game as well. And that was a large part of the game, was earning and spending these things, because people were, and we could give them to other players to use. So we were constantly giving them to the cleric so he could heal us. So recollect and extemporize, I shall. I just gotta stop and check every once in a while here. Hello, John Stewart Keller. How are you doing? Yes, I'll tell you what I want to do. Just tell me what dice to roll. That's kind of it. I generally, after a few times, I do actually remember, but I try to get into it. No matter what the system. I don't. I'm somewhat system agnostic. I don't like the ones that overpower my character, because I just find it's like playing on easy mode. I don't want to do that. I want it to be hard. I want my character to be small and easily breakable. How did YouTube get Mary from Nordic? Oh, that's the great secret. Nordic Maelstrom is actually named Mary. I have to call him Mary from now on when we see you. Let's say, hey, Mary. Okay. Gonna go ahead and do the tongue now. Never tell me the odds. Let's see. Get his tongue. My philosophy on painting is probably, well, I don't know. I think it's a good philosophy. Is go to the inmost first, because you can cover up mistakes as you go out. It's harder to cover up mistakes that are in. Yeah, little red tongue. Wave behaving himself? Never. Oh, dear heavens, Grumpy, you go to bed. Have a good night, sir. Have a good night. My heavens. Up since 5. All right. This Telemark green is almost a blue, but it's a good deep one. It's a good deep one. And I'm done with the brown. I don't want any more brown on this thing, because then it needs a brown dragon, and that's not what I'm painting. Let's see. What can I do here? What can I do here? Oh, and all sorts of caps sitting out. This has been my thing lately when painting minis. The realization you don't need much paint at all. So I've quit squeezing it out into egg cartons. I mean, when I'm doing terrain, I do. Egg cartons are good paint cups. If you're doing terrain, you can need a lot of paint. But on a mini, I mean, what are you really going to need? You don't need that much. It's not that big, hence the name mini. So one of the things I've done this year, different from previous years, just with a number of tables and new DMs adding into the mix, etc., I found I need a way to let people know what games are when, and it's always been on the registration page. So when you go to register, it tells you, and if you go to sign up for a game that already has it's filled, it says, this game's full. You can't, sorry, you can't sign up for it. But there's so many games this year because we increased the space. There's on Saturday for 2 of the game sessions. There's going to be 11 tables running if they fill up. There's one. There's a couple spots still open, but I mean, I'm still anticipating more people adding games. But so the just being able to track what's happening, when it's happening, where there's space open. So in case people see an announcement, a game's been added, and they're like, "Oh, I was signed up for a different game at that spot, but that is something I really want to play. I'd like to change my sign up," right? So I've put together. It's on the Discord server, which everyone gets an invitation to when they register. And I think it's also on my Facebook page. Yeah, it's on the Facebook event page for the event. I've actually put a PDF up with blocks that show, how many openings any given DM or GM or whatever has in the game, and how many of those are filled, how many of them are available. So you can kind of see in a glance the whole con. And I have to say, it's impressive. It's quite a sheet. It's quite a sheet. It is not a deep sheet, but it is a sheet. This guy's fun so far. Again, nice open posture. Love these dragons. Let's see. Eye of the World. The cash is king. Yes, if you off grid, because I don't always know I don't always know the real names of the people who I know on here as off grid gaming, etc. If you're registered, you can pay for it that way. When you register, if you're not registered, if you want to add, that's no problem. I can easily throw you on there. And if we've already had this conversation, I remind you that I have asked. I was a poor orc child. I've asked him like 3 times whether that was a reference to the Steve Martin movie, The Jerk. So yeah, it is fun to paint. It's got a good. He's got a nice spread on him. He's a good posture for a dragon. Easy to get to. I'm slopping paint everywhere, but then again, I'm going to go back, and bits I will paint over. They will not, be slopped in the end. I mean, really, if I slopped the thing and I set it on the table tomorrow, the boys would probably say, "Oh, that's cool." So, that's one thing. The boys are pretty forgiving that way. But I will aim for something slightly Smurfier still. I have to shake the paint. No, that's one thing, John. My paint is not. I'm not one of those people who will slowly build up the layers of paint over 3 hours or something, and those folks understand what I'm saying here. Those folks are doing it right, and it looks great when they're done. I kind of go at it with a sort of, I've got somewhere to be attitude. Like I've got something really important I got to do at 11:50 or something. So I do tend to slop on, and I don't have much patience. Is what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you here. I don't have a lot of patience. Probably not a great trait for a priest, but there it is. Of course, I am very rarely called upon to paint my parishioners. Almost never do I have to give a base coat to a parishioner. Found the Dragonlance Chronicles read too much like the Dungeons. Well, yes, and that's because they're actually from a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. That'd be why. That would be why. And apparently, the fellow who played Raistlin scared everyone at the table. He just went to very dark places, and so that came through, of course, in the books. The books does come through. I read those. I didn't read them when I was a kid. I mean, I know, like, they were around. I remember they were everywhere. You couldn't go to a used bookshop without seeing 50 of them. But I never read them as a kid. But then we have a little free library out in front of our church, and a copy showed up in there. So I grabbed it to read to the boys. We still do bedtime stories, even though, I mean, they're all readers on their own. They all read quite a bit, and really too old for bedtime stories, but we still do it anyway. No painted ladies in the congregation. Perhaps, but they paint themselves. Slide up here. You're a book hoarder, Wave? I am too. You're probably earlier. Well, if you were around earlier, if you've been at other live streams, you'd see over my shoulder a wall of books, and that's doesn't include, of course, my professional library, which is my office at the church. Between Fofire and I, we have a lot of books. I'm trying to decide if the limbs should be a different color, because the scaling looks differently on the leg. Oh, he's not going to show up. This is not a great camera. On the leg, it's these plates, whereas on the back, it's a kind of nubbly look. So I'm trying to decide if it should be the same color or different. I think I'm going to go different. I'm not even going to bother base coating those. On the underside of the wing, I think the underside of the wing is where I'm going to use this really light yellow. That's where I'm putting it. Okay, I got to get up to the head with this, though. Not done with this color yet. Fofire is much better about letting go of books, although she still has way more than a lot of people do. But she's far better at admitting to herself that she's never reading this again, and that's it. I have very few books that I've gotten rid of. I have gotten rid of some, I have to say. I'm not entirely a hoarder, but I find it a painful experience to get rid of books because they're such friends. Inevitably, when I go through the bookshelf looking for books to get rid of, I'm looking at them and I pick one up, I start reading it, right? And then I remember all the wonderful stuff about it, and I don't want to get rid of it. Yeah, okay. It's going to slop a little here on the shoulder because I don't quite know where to make the transition. Well, that's okay. You know what? It's just a miniature. Let's see. Book is friend. OSR CleriCon. It's Torchberry. It's Torchberry to his enemies. Touchberry to his friends. And Touchberry is just a name. It's an example name in the basic the first of the Beckme books. I can't remember if it's in the character, it's in the class description where it says don't use, I'm a second level halfling. Say I'm Touchberry. I don't know if it's that, or if there are some sample characters. There's some pre-gen characters in there as well. I can't remember where it is, but yeah, I think the head I'm going to do. You know what? I'm going to do the head a different color. I'm going to do the head a different color. Head's going to be different. I'm going to take it down though into this. Couldn't tell you why. I'm taking this gullet. So I'm doing that off camera. Sorry, guys. Not that the camera was so fabulous that you can really see a lot of detail. But there it is. Okay, I think that means that other side should be the same. I noticed a few places where I have to touch up the brown, so I'm going to have to get that back out anyway. There's a few places up here where I have to touch up the brown as well. Which is all good. We don't mind that, do we? We are all very Smurfy people. When I was a kid, this is non sequitur. Smurfy. When I was a kid, my one morning I woke up and I went to get the cereal out of the cupboard in the kitchen. There were these tall, like, cupboard, like a pantry cupboard. The kitchen was huge. I don't know if there had been a separate pantry at one point, not pantry at one point, or if it was always a huge kitchen. But anyway, I went to get the cereal out, and there in this cabinet right in front of the cereal was this little blue astronaut. He had a little space helmet on, a little bubble, like a classic bubble. He was dressed all in white, blue, had a little tail, and I had no idea what this was. But I thought he was adorable because my mother had put him there, right? She'd been out at the store and seen them when they first came out, at least where I lived. They would be in a little bin by the cash register. Just for another $1, you can throw that on, or whatever it was, 50 cents. I don't know how much they cost, but so she'd seen it and grabbed it and put it in there. And I loved it. And the next time we were out at the store together, I saw some, and I had a little money, like kids do. You give kids allowance or whatever. So I bought 2 more. A guy holding a penny. He had a big, kind of orangish painted orange penny he was holding, and guy sleeping. Now, I had no idea what these were. The display thing said Smurfs, but I mean, that was it. It just said Smurfs. That was it. There was no lore. There was no anything to go on. It was just, oh, Smurfs. Okay. And pantry raid. Raiding the pantry. And I love those little guys, and actually I collected them for a while. I got very, very into these things, and had a little house because Christmas or my birthday or whatever, I can't remember, and I got a little house, and I got more of the Smurfs, and I loved them. They were great. And then the show came out. It wasn't out for the longest time. It came out later, after they'd started selling the things, which for the 80s is backwards. 80s, the show was just a commercial for the toys, and generally the show would come out and the toys would be hot on the heels, or they'd come out simultaneously. But yeah, the toys were out for quite some time because we moved house. We were in a different place when actually my mother bought a house, so we were in the house when the show came out. And I remember watching it, sitting down and watching it. Schtroumpf, that's right. Le Schtroumpf. Because they're Belgian, I believe, the Smurfs. They're Belgian, and they speak French and German. French and German? No, is that... Oh, I'm thinking... No, it's Belgium. Holland. They speak Dutch, too. My armor-encased battle wagon actually moves because 4 hirelings pedal the pulley system. Hey, you have a good night, Wheeling. You have a good night. Sleep tight and don't let the dragons bite. I've got this one by the tail. Don't worry about him. He won't get away. Even if he does, he's tiny. He can't do anything to you. So yeah, I started my sort of love affair with the Smurfs. Started that way, and then there were other things that my mom did. Where she'd I had this is a drawing pad or something. It's one of the kids have drawing pads and paper and that kind of stuff. And one morning, I woke up and I discovered it had been drawn on. It was a Smurf, and my mother was a pretty good sort of rough artist. I mean, not the art, but she's pretty good at little, figures and drawings and stuff. So she drew this Smurf, and she claimed that the Snorks. Oh, Smurfs. Anyway, she claimed that my Smurfs had drawn it overnight. So I loved that. It was really, when it comes out, I was old enough by then to know that was hooey. I think I was like 8 or something, 9. I was old enough to know that was hooey, but I enjoyed it anyway. And she kept doing that for a few nights. She drew, not every night either. Every once in a while, she would do it. She'd draw something, and then she stopped. She just stopped. There was no ceremony to it. She just stopped. And I knew it was. I mean, I think I knew it was her, but I enjoyed pretending to think that it was the Smurfs. I enjoyed pretending to be fooled. And I don't know if she knew I knew that I was pretending to be fooled or not. So it's an interesting ballet of two people both pretending they don't know what the other person knows, kind of thing. In a strange way, sort of Gift of the Magi-esque. If you know that short story, Gift of the Magi. I think most people of our generation, at least, assuming we're all around the same age here, most people of our generation had to read that in high school, probably. My home Greyhawk setting, there is a tavern called Smurven Hammer. It's a tiny blue glowing hammer in a glass case. No one knows what it does. It illuminates the night, John. It illuminates the night. It's like Green Lantern's lantern. I'm always so like cavalier about detail, like just slap it on, I don't care. And then I spend all this time going back and fixing things that if I just spent more time at the time would never have been a problem. Oh well. Signals the tavern's blue light special. Do you know there is a place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin? If any of you ever get to Milwaukee, I remember the Snorks as well. The Snorks, and it seemed to me somewhat like Thundercats, Tiger Sharks, Silverhawks, like just reskinning the same idea. The 80s were big on that. Thank you. Sorry, that probably sounded louder to you than to me. the bag that I use to cover up the mic when it's not in use fell on top of the mic. What was I going to say? Yeah, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you ever get there, there is a bar called the Safe House, and if you like kind of fun, like if you take your bars seriously, you probably won't get into it. But it's a very fun place. It's a very, very fun. I guess if it's a role players, I'm sure you'd like it. It's a spy bar. So the whole thing is it's set up to be like it's a safe house for spies. And if you go during the busy times, you know, like in weekend nights and that kind of stuff, there's a sort of Moneypenny-esque woman at a desk. You have to give the right password to enter. And if you can't give the password, she'll make you do weird things to get in. And then there's a secret door opens up, like this hatch in the wall opens up. It's really well disguised. I think it's a bookshelf or something. And it slides open and you go in and oh, it's a cool place. It's a really fun place to be. I used to go there in the middle of the day for lunch, and it was much more casual. They didn't have the person out there, but there was a phone. The desk was set up and there was a phone. And you'd pick up the phone and someone would answer, and you'd have to provide the password. And then once you got in, the whole place was all spy themed. You know, there were secret doors. There was in the women's bathroom, there was a mirror that you could see from inside the bathroom out into the bar. So like a woman could see what her date was up to when she was in the bathroom, you know. There was a phone booth where you could play background noises for an alibi, like an airport or a train station. Yes, John, I do clear coat. You know what it is? It's just Mod Podge is what I do. I put Mod Podge over it, and it serves pretty well. The mat. Okay. I've been fussing around with little tiny details to avoid making any decisions, but I'm going to have to make a decision now. So yeah, I do clear coat, and just it feels it gets them. They're a little shiny even with the mat, but you know what? I can't stand the thought of the bare paint. You know, I still have some that I have to do that on that I haven't gotten to yet, but I do try to get them all. All right, I may darken this down afterward. Maybe I should start darker. Yeah, and then lighten up. Look at me stopping myself. It's just because I don't want to do it. I'm afraid to do anything right now because I'm going to screw something up. That's kind of dark. Do I have anything lighter than that? I may have to use a tan is a bit lighter than that. I think I may have to use a no Gargamel shall escape my sight. Let those who worship Gargamels might and beware of my power, the Smurven light. The Smurven light. Okay, that's a little. It is a little lighter. We went this morning. That's later. We went this morning to church at a wonderful little place. It's the boys' favorite church when I'm on vacation. Very, very small parish, St. John's in Stewarttown. Stewarttown barely exists. I mean, it's like, you know, it's a piece of road and a couple of intersections. And the congregation is small, but it's actually, we noticed this Sunday that it's a bigger congregation than it was last Sunday. So that was, or last year rather. Last Sunday I was still at work, but yeah, we went there and had a lovely time. The priest there, Father Audris, he is also a military chaplain, and so he was telling us about having gone to. Ooh, I slopped. I'll have to fix that. He was telling us about having gone to do some of his training recently at coffee hour afterward. Coffee hour is one of the most grace-filled things in the church community. It's this lovely casual time. You have coffee and chat with people after the service, and Anglicans call it the eighth sacrament. So it's a wonderful time. Well, John, there's not John Stuart Keller Town, but it really is a very small. It's a very small. I don't know David the Gnome. The the school there is a little tiny. It's a little school, a little public school, and it's a public school. It's very much a public school. But the sign on the side, it was those kind of plastic letters that get attached to the side of buildings, so it's a school and not a light industrial complex. Because frankly, what's the difference architecturally? But anyway, the E in Stuart Town fell off. And so for the longest time, it said St. Wart Town. So I don't know who St. Wart was, but I'm glad that his town is thriving and has a little school in it. Yeah, we had a lovely time, though. The folks there, because it's mainly an older congregation. They're just delighted to see a family come in, and that was one of the things that early on I discovered I needed to wear my collar while I was on vacation when I went to church, because otherwise you go into, because we do favor small churches, we prefer them for our vacation, and you go in though, and there's a sort of delight in the eyes of the rector in particular if you're going to a church where they don't know you, and you can just see him thinking. We went to a United church here in town one year, and you could see it was the year that a family was leaving the church. They were moving. The dad had gotten a job somewhere else, or they were moving to be closer to the mom's family, or something. I don't remember what the cause was, but they were moving. They were leaving town, so they're going to leave the church. And they were the Sunday we were there, at least, they were the only family with any kids other than us. But I wasn't wearing my collar. I didn't back then, because I thought I'm on vacation. I'm not going to wear the collar. And also I'm in someone else's church, especially when we went to a different denomination. I'm an Anglican priest. I'm not a United Church minister. I'm not going to, this isn't my place. But the look on that man's face when he realized, one family was leaving, and another family shows up. We had the same number of kids, and it was like, you could see him thinking, the Lord taketh and the Lord giveth, Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. And we had to break his heart. And the funny thing is, we didn't go to coffee hour because we had something else going on that day. So we were kind of heading out. And there was also just these kind of weird, like, vibes of people looking at us like we were the answer to a prayer. And he actually ran after us out of the church to invite us to coffee hour. And we said, oh, we've got somewhere to be. And he said, well, I hope you'll come back. I said, well, I'm actually a priest. I'm on vacation. I'm the rector of church in Glen Williams. And he was so crestfallen. I felt bad for him. He really thought he had, picked up another family. A seventh son of an Irish Catholic sacrifice upon that Masonic deity. My heavens, it's getting very. Good night to you. You're probably gone by now because I didn't see it in time, but have a very good night, John. Have a very good night. Yeah, so that's why I started always wearing my collar while on vacation. And the other thing is we started going to Anglican churches instead. And then people know me because this area is a small enough area. There's a lot of churches around, and so I'm going to places where they know who I am. And of course, we go to this one, St. John's, Stuart Town. We go every year, at least once during the summer, so they know who we are. They learn to say, "Hey, that actually is looking quite good." Color-wise, my paint is sloppy, but the color is looking quite nice. I'm seeing some areas where I need to get in and redo that green a little bit, but the color is looking quite good. I like that. I'm glad I went with this lighter color for the under the wings. Lightest I could find, lightest brown I could find. Of course, I could mix colors as well. I could get even lighter by throwing in some white. But the problem I have with that is that then if I run out of that, I have to try to get close to it again. And if I don't, no one else will, but I will notice that the left wing and the right wing are different colors. So if I use it straight from the bottle, at least I know that it will match because it's unmixed, unaltered, undiluted. Okay, I'm at that place where if I keep doing it, I'm just going to streak it. Let it dry, Father Aaron. 2 pun for 1 pun deal. It is lovely in Glenn Williams. Nearly abandoned at a Mississippi gas station on account of a single pun. Oh, my heavens. My heavens. The gnome life. Gnome afterlife. David the Gnome sounds like a pretty deep, scarring, old Yeller-esque sort of tale. I've said it before, I'll say it again. One of the beauties of working with craft paint is it dries like that. Dries like that. This green dragon isn't very green yet, is he? He's a lot of colors other than green. He's got a lot of brown in him. Got to get on that. Let's see, I nicked the back of him here. Just being careless. That's me. So we are about to go on a camping trip. So I will not be as available for a little bit because I'll be out in the deep woods. Like that used to be, you could get stuff where a kids entertainment would touch those kinds of topics, right? Watership Down. Oh, I loved that book when I was a kid. I loved that book. I wanted to go be a rabbit. What's that? The only problem with that book is I couldn't leave and be a rabbit, right? But that was such a good book. And it had, the Watership Down starts with an entire warren of rabbits dying. Like it's pretty boom right out of the gate. Not much, not many punches pulled there. Oh, that's a bright green. That's it's looks a lot grassier than it does when it dries. I guess it's in that vein. So we're going to see what we can do. I don't know if these will look good together. Let's see. Let me find out, shall I? Just want to look and see if they look okay next to each other, right? Because 2 shades of the same thing don't always. Yeah, that'll be okay. I'm intending this to kind of get at least dry brushed over anyway, but I still don't want to utterly ruin it. Just want to partially ruin it. No, I don't want to ruin it at all. Have you ever seen the video of the Tom Wilson, the actor who played Biff Tannen in Back to the Future movies? He does a song. He does stand-up comedy now, which I think is hilarious given his character. His character's humorless individual and pretty awful, but he does a stand-up routine and he does this song about the questions he gets asked because he was in that movie. It is hilarious. He plays guitar along with it. It's a real sort of lighthearted, silly, but it's very, very funny. The Redwall books, yes, the Rabbit and Mouse Warriors, and touching, actual, less so the Mouse Guard, but still in the same vein. Mouse Guard had a similar thing. I, along with many people, wondered why there wasn't a Mouse Guard role-playing game, and then discovered there is a Mouse Guard role-playing game based on the Burning Wheel, which is why no one's ever heard of it. God bless the Burning Wheel. Everyone's favorite game they don't play. This green may have been a bad choice. I may have to go over this. I'm going to let it dry, though, because my experience with on the dried bits of it on the cap were a lot less green than this. Because I could dull it down by going over lightly with a brown or something. But I don't want to. I mean, I'm going to go over everything with the final green anyway. I may have to actually water the paints down to do that. Yeah, that doesn't look good. I'd be better if I just went with the telemark green, I think. I don't think this works. Borable? I don't know what a borable is. It sounds horrible. Give it a chance to dry. It may turn out. I'm not going to do any more in that color, though, until I see it dry. Because it's not looking promising, I have to say. I noticed another spot I have to redo anyway. What is a borable? What is a borable? Who is Island Joe? Who's Island Joe? You want to go work for Island Joe? Who's Island Joe? Does anyone know that quote? One of my favorite books as a kid. Frankly, one of my favorite books as an adult. Who's Island Joe? I like where this camera is mounted because I don't end up leaning my head too far into the. I don't think I have at any rate. If I have, I've really leaned quite far because I don't think I have. Yeah, base with a darker color. I thought the dry bits on the cap just looked darker than that, and I think it will dry darker. I don't know if it'll dry dark enough. Don't know if it'll dry dark enough. And I don't. It's not even a matter of it's dark or light. It's just I don't think it's a great green for this. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm actually thinking now maybe I just want to go over the whole thing with this telemark and then go over the telemark on certain areas because I'm really liking this green. It looks good. I mean, it doesn't. The only thing about it doesn't look really terribly foresty. It looks kind of more 1990s. 1990s dragon. Oh, teal. Paint stores never knew they were going to sell that much teal. Kids from unhappy homes who abscond and stop aging and grow pointy ears and become street urchins and live in abandoned houses and have bottles with giant rats called rumbles. Okay. That sounds like a very particular property. Sounds fun, though. Sounds fun. At first, I thought it was going to be like an actual, like some term for actual people, and then it became apparent that it was a story of some sort. Obscure British children's literature. You can sense water? Wowzers. Oh, Penny, I have to catch Dr. Claw. You ever see those things where they age up characters from cartoons and whatnot and comic strips? Like especially when the cartoon characters are kids, like the Peanuts characters as adults, and which seems like sacrilege to me, the Peanuts characters in particular. But maybe more emerald green. Yeah, I don't have any. I'm going to go over the telemark, but I think I'm just going to do the telemark over all the limbs and then go over that, and in different, maybe with different other colors. I don't know. But the telemark, I think, is the better of the. Go, Gadget Divining Rod. That's the little tune that Tom Wilson sings his Questions song to. It's very funny. He answers questions. He sings the question and then sings the answer. One of the questions. What does a key grip do? Set up lights. What does a best boy do? Helps the key grip. What does a producer do? And I don't know. Actually, you know what? That I know you're supposed to go. You're not gonna see that. What am I doing? I know you're supposed to go dark on the bottom and then light, but actually this is better. I think I'm going to do it that having done that looks pretty cool. It looks like there's some, yeah. I'm going to do this for the limbs and go over it with the telemark because that actually looks very cool. I should probably wait till it dries actually to find out if it looks cool. Maybe it'll look awful. One big advantage. It dries so fast. The underside is still okay. Inspector Gadget. Desktop wallpaper art and set it to my background. Cool. Governments ought to clip their ears so they can become normal people and pay tax. Oh my heavens. The idea of paying tax is the, well, there you go. I didn't realize how sort of subversive it was when I watched it as a kid as Ghostbusters. Like everyone who works for the government is incompetent. Including in Ghostbusters 2, probably even more so in Ghostbusters 2. Well, maybe more so, but it's hard to get more incompetent than Walter Peck. Man, the guy who played Walter Peck, I don't know the actor's name, but boy, he understood the assignment, play the most punchable human being you can. I say that as a priest, I'd punch him. Just a horrible person. Smug. Snooty. Ignorant. It's beautiful. Well done. Well, he's getting there. That one arm looks very green, but in on camera. It looks less out of place in person, I promise. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. I need a little more. Yeah. Yeah. Boxing exposition between myself and Walter Pack. There we go. Have an uncle who lives in Texas. Hey. Do, 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 do. Yeah, the green arm does look more like red skin, and it's this. It's the telemark. It's the Christmas green with a telemark over it, which I thought the opposite would be better, but I think that actually works, and I can't tell you why, but it does. Just gonna do the same thing I did. So now Fleetwood, when he started, because this past year he went to public school. We homeschool the kids. Went to public school, and I'm not going to rant about public schools again. I've done enough of that on here. Man, the education was subpar. But anyway, he so many of the things that they had them do required a phone, a smartphone. Like, and it was just the assumption that a kid would have one. And no, we didn't give him a smartphone, 15-year-old, but kind of ended up having to. So we got him the cheapest, sort of lowest functioning smartphone available. And he didn't get a data plan or anything. So he wasn't, we're not sending him out to do it. But he can, when he's here at home, he can watch YouTube videos. And we don't have a lot of video time for them. We don't do a lot of screen time, except when Mama's making dinner. When Mama's making dinner, the boys can watch videos. Sometimes his brothers want to watch something that he doesn't. And so it used to be he'd just endure it and watch what they were watching. But what? Back in Acorn, I gotta scroll and see what in the world that's about. But so anyway, he has this thing. Well, he's found. He hasn't subscribed. That's not what I wanted to do. He hasn't subscribed to, but he has found the Dungeon Minister channel on YouTube, which he knew existed. Like he didn't, but they don't tend to watch it because sometimes I spill the beans about things that are coming up, or if I'm recapping an adventure that they're in the middle of, I think on this last one I was talking about how they're obsessed with. They really think that Bargle's the bad guy, and he's not. Well, he is a bad guy, but he's not the one directly responsible for things. If you've watched the more recent episodes, you'll know that he's not. But I don't want them hearing these things. I don't want to totally, have to watch myself while I'm doing the recap so that I don't, give them any advantages, etc. But I also, when doing these, I don't want them to see this because at some point I plan on putting it on the table, and I don't like them to know what's coming. So, and I have to go find his phone and delete the notification for this video because he doesn't subscribe, but he gets notifications, which is funny because other people do subscribe and don't get notifications. No puns had an expiration date. Do they start to smell punky? Now, I know this looks outlandishly green now, but it won't once I get the other color over it. It looks like that moment during a Bob Ross painting when he's like, oh, he's ruined it. You ever watch Bob Ross and you think, oh, he's just gone and destroyed the painting? Because he'll throw some bloody tree right in the front, and it'll look like heck until he gets back and does detail work on it. And in the end, you have to say, well, yeah, it does look okay. I think it actually is pretty good with that big tree right there. And of course, he's doing two things. He's showing you techniques. He doesn't really care what the end result of the painting is. That's not the point. But the other thing is he's filling time. He's painting away. He looks up at the clock. Says, "Oh, I've only done 20 minutes. I need another 10. Okay, slap a tree in the middle of it all." I'm not doing that. I will go to sleep when I'm done with this. Knowing that tomorrow, though, I will sleep in a tent. I will sleep like a baby. I always do. Well, except the year that we had inflatable. The first time we went camping, we bought inflatable mattresses like chumps. And we've never, ever, ever slept on an inflatable mattress that didn't deflate overnight. But we were hopeful. It deflated. That was not a comfortable night. Okay. Okay. If I think things, they're not going to show up on the audio if I just sit here thinking. I was thinking about Saruman and Gandalf and their conflict in the tower. But if I don't say that, Punday, such a day shouldn't exist. A day that I never. His trees are happy accidents. It's very calming. Yes. Oh, Nordic, I tell you, I used to put that on and just fall asleep. I've never, other than minis, I don't really paint minis and terrain. I don't paint. I'm not a painter. But I would put that on and just let it take me. Calgon, take me away. I love that. Now we're going to put a little. Well, that's starting to sound like Dana Carvey's George Bush. Dana Carvey's George Bush mixed with Bob Ross. Now gonna have a happy little accident here. Just gonna bomb Iraq. There we go. All it takes is a walk. You have got yourself. You've got your caps reversed there, Mr. Off-Grid. Stay the course and paint a tree on it. No mistakes. Oh, that's dark. There's no mistakes, just happy accidents. Gonna paint here. Gonna do a painting. Not gonna do it. In painting, the best miniatures every world ever seen. Never been a miniature this good before. Everyone's saying this is the best miniature ever. Ooh. Some fiddly bits here between the horn and the horns and the neck. That's going okay. Again, I gotta say, these miniatures tend to be more paintable than a lot of miniatures. He's very buck-toothed, this dragon. No, he didn't paint it. He occasionally midnight. He would have a cabin occasionally. It usually looked surprise. It occasionally looked like there was someone living there. Occasionally, a lot of times the cabins looked abandoned, though. Yeah, he wasn't big on people living in his paintings. All right, everyone. This is the Bob Ross moment where I may just destroy everything. So I'm going to see about the backs of the wings. And too stiff. That's nice. That's nice. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. There we go. I don't know that any of this is showing up on camera at all, what this is doing. But what it's sort of creating is an almost pearlescent sort of look to it. Yeah, on camera that looks like hell, but in person it looks much better. On camera that looks blotchy and ridiculous. It looks like I've destroyed it. In person it is not. In person that looks much better than it does on camera. It looks pretty cool. I really don't have the right equipment for doing a live painting. The painting is kind of not the point. The point is kind of the hanging out and talking and letting people tell silly puns in the chat and giving space for that to happen. The painting is extra. Yeah, that's Dahmer and Goober. Sound like Nixon. Hot pants. It's a recording of Nixon talking with some of his advisors, and someone just says hot pants. Nixon's response is Christ. One of the strangest things I've ever heard. That and Johnson, President Johnson, who would regularly change clothes in front of his staff, and he'd be standing there totally nude, like all in everyone's face, like here I am, That's got to be a power move. That does. It's got to be a power move. All right. Now for my telemark over holiday green attempt. Try to brush it on with some lightness. Yeah, that kind of just achieves a mottled look. I didn't hear. I get too much. Lower my. I'm not even breathing sometimes here. I gotta remember to breathe. It's really not that intense of a process. Yeah, you're not gonna see how that looks. Oh, tree puns? Really? I thought you'd have gotten up to 4 or 5 by now. Oh. He shoots, he scores from way downtown. Yeah, I like this little guy. Now, he was a bigger dragon in the conception of the Next Level Miniatures company when he was made, because this is from their early work when they had they were doing like a true 28 millimeter scale. So everything was kind of small for the modern, or they're doing 25 rather. So everything was a little small for the modern 28 to 32 millimeter scale that you see, the sort of heroic, and the 28 is kind of the standard now. And so they were very small comparatively. But the thing is with the dragons, it doesn't matter like what size is the dragon. Well, it's just a smaller dragon, right? It doesn't have to be a particular size. So he still looks very cool. He's just smaller than he would have been. Like their intent is that he would have been a serious kind of chap. So in my world, he's just going to be a slightly smaller chap, still serious because a dragon's a dragon, but no such thing as a easy dragon fight. But he won't be quite as big of a threat as he would be otherwise. Yeah, he's looking pretty good, actually. You're not going to be able to see anything, really. I mean, if I stopped there, I think the boys would be pretty impressed. I'm not impressed, but I think they would think it was pretty cool. But there's still stuff that needs doing, clearly. Even little bits that need to be taken off. Missed that. But did think that was pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool as it is, but I see trees of green, red roses too. Do a very light re-application here. Just make sure that it's not lost entirely. A couple of spots got a little too much. Oh, that looks kind of cool. I do that. I'm just like, oh, that looks nice. Do that. I don't have any real plan here. But that actually turned out to look really cool. Oh, that looks cool. You're going to be able to see it, though. But the legs look really awesome now. Stop. Don't do anything else. Beverly Hillbillies. Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. Then one day he got a copyright strike because he was singing theme songs. The great thing about my singing voice is that the computer does not know that I'm singing a copyrighted piece of music because notes? What notes? Man, okay, here's one niggling little annoying area that's not easy to paint, but I think can't win them all. I just have to shove some paint in there and not worry too much about it. Yeah, just shove it in and not worry too much. I mean, I didn't see it till I turned the model over, so it probably won't be seen in gameplay. Thank you, Negative Headspace. It is actually looking pretty good, and I wish I could. You know what I can do? I can do a progress update. This is something I figured out I could do. It takes a little bit of doing, but there's a picture. And all I have to do then is go here, here, and here. I can close that and refresh until that shows up. There. Then I can come here and I can share screen. That's what he's looking like in a better view. So not too shabby. Hello, Jane. How are you doing? Thank you, Jane. Yeah, he's looking actually pretty good. Pretty good. I can only do the still that way. Yeah, you do have to flip them upside down to find out where you need to paint. I just saw a couple spots I missed on the tail. Speaking of that, I was doing one side and the other, but I forgot to do the sort of middle of it. Yeah, we're just doing a little painting here, Jane. A little fussing around with the colors and the critters. As I said at the beginning, I'll repeat because it credit where credit's due. I got this miniature from Shadow and Son. He sent me a bunch of stuff. This was next level miniatures, and it was when they were doing a true 25 millimeter scale. So he's smaller than you would like. Here's a. Oh, here I'll stop sharing. He's not a big dragon. That's not where you can see him. It's not a big dragon, but he'd still be. He would be in the basic rules. He'd be in the first book. This would be him. Dangerous enough. Now I'm going to get some pebbling here on this pebbled back. I want to do something, and I want to get some more light on the wings. Do I dare? Do I dare? Dare I do? Feats of daring do. My do doesn't dare anything. It just sits there in a lump. Okay. Grass green. 202 millimeter. There you go. Put this on the table, and the boy's like, oh, well, that's nothing. We can handle that. And then say, oh, and I have these rice grains to represent you. What are you doing to us? That would be funny. That would be funny. Yee. Cool. Just another layer of green, another type of green. Looking good. I should take another picture of the wings because they do have a sort of pearlescent look. Although I bet that wouldn't show very well on the picture. It never does. It's not showing up at all. I may need. There we go. Yeah, that's working. That's working. So this is grass green. It gets grass in a little kid's drawing. It's not anything I've ever seen in nature, but anyway. Maybe when it dries. It's adding some nice pop, I will say, over that very, very, very flattish, bluish telemark green. It's doing some good stuff. Don't know what it's doing yet, but it's good. It's not all been seen yet. So, not layers are good, not an expert. Honest question: what do you plan to do if one of the boys goes around like fails and they die? Well, you know what? We have talked about that recently because recently Touchberry has gotten cocky to careless, and he did get close. He did get close, and so we had to talk about, what would we actually do, guys? And rolling up another character, starting from 1 again. The one thing is when you're adventuring with higher level characters, a first level character is going to level up faster because you're fighting creatures and getting treasures that are now higher value. So you level up faster, but still, it would be a very frustrating thing. And some of it is luck, and then I will say a lot of it actually is a pretty canny, which is why Touchberry's recklessness is kind of worrying. They have been very careful, like yeah, it's been a miracle he's lived this long. And he did get the snot kicked out of him by Bob Johnny, largely. Most of the damage he took actually wasn't from the orcs or the hobgoblins or the skeletons. Most of the damage he took, he was taking from Bob Johnny. So, I mean, in one case, that's not damage he can, like, that wasn't a situation that he could have thought, oh, I'll stay out of situations like that, because, it came upon them relatively, well, completely unawares. They were not at all prepared for that kind of an encounter. Did anyone pick up, like, for instance, for people who have seen the most recent episode, in which the orcs attack the Elven Kingdom? If you haven't, I'm sorry, I just spoiled something for you, but there it is. It's been up for about a week, so maybe a bit less than a week, actually. It's been less than a week. Anyway, did anyone pick up who the bad guy was beforehand? Did anyone pick up who the bad guy was? Because I did drop a couple of little clues in there. A couple of them were, one of them was I think particularly good, and it was subtle, but it was, I mean, it was there. Like, if you were looking for it, it stood out. I think it stood out. But then you always think that about the clues that you put in, and other people are like, no one saw that, dude. Literally no one. So I don't know. Maybe I think it's more obvious than it was. Because one of them was just, I thought it was being a little too cute. You thought you had your suspicions about Silverian? That's what I wanted. I wanted suspicions kind of about a number of characters. Don't worry about the spelling. That's fine. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad. Well, and part of it, like when I went to get images, I chose an image that he kind of looks like a classic good guy, but at the same time, there was a sort of seriousness about him. I wanted it to be the kind of thing where once it was revealed, it was like, well, of course, and that's sort of what happened at the table. Like once it was revealed, they were like, yep, but I don't think they saw it coming at all. They really trusted him when he came and got them out of the tent and told them the attacks were happening. Or he didn't get them out of the tent. He came to them when they were out of the tent. They were on their way to help Thalion. They didn't trust Thalion at all. They just implicitly trusted Silverian, which is gratifying to know that you've kind of snookered them. Yeah. Oh, the captain. Yes, I loved that. I loved that. Because I kept a sort of tally on how many rounds had gone, right? And I took into account, I mean, I wasn't being super specific, but I was like, okay, if they're going to take a long time down here at this battle, and they took a long time, especially because they pursued Bob Johnny, chased after an orc. So they took extra time. It's like, okay, when they get back there, this is going to have to register like it's been some time. It's going to have to be some time. So what will have happened, right? It seemed shifty. Came off like he was definitely hiding something, but what it was, I couldn't put a finger on it. Awesome. When the captain's earned his promotion to Lord, early in an early episode of this sort of stretch of the one of the characters says, something awful is going on, or there's some traitor, there's some treachery happening. And Silverian shows up just after that line. That was the thing that I thought was like, that might be a little on the nose. Like boom. And it's just involved in the storytelling, right? But it also happened at the table. That kind of thing was we were talking about, and then he shows up. So, ooh, dear, glopped out. I hope it didn't land on anything. Good, it didn't. Be careful with that. Be careful with that, doofus. I really like doing these mystery ones. I did the Hermit one, and that was based on a novel that I read while camping, actually. Cadfael novel, one of the other Cadfael stories. I happened to be reading when camping, and it stuck out to me like that would be a really good. I adapted it, obviously. It wasn't straight up because none of them are monks. I adapted the circumstances of the murder and everything like that. But we had so much fun with that one. I decided to try another. And what I like about those is that until you get to the actual combat, they could be for any level. You don't have to run it for any particular level because it's not combat oriented. You can have combat, but you could do it without. Like we had the attack on the, but there didn't have to be an attack. That didn't have to be part of it. I could have done something else that revealed things. And it's just a neat, hey, good night, John. I have seen the series we actually have the DVDs. We have the DVDs. They're quite fun. I like the books too. Now I have to say I've been working on one for a while, like months, and I put it down and I don't come back to it because it's not grabbing me. The Summer of the Danes, it's just not grabbing me. That one I may just watch the video. I may just watch the video for that. But I do very much enjoy them. They're quite good. They're quite good. Okay. Got a little highlighting, a little too much highlighting there. I'm gonna take a bit back. Gonna take just a bit back. Not too much, but a couple of these are a bit too pronounced. A couple are too pronounced. Yeah, I've realized it's past midnight, isn't it? Reading, I'm gonna have to depart in a few minutes to read a few chapters of Dragonbone Chair from Tad Williams. Very fun. Very fun. Hello, General Nut. How are you doing? I am up late. I am regularly up till like 1 or 2 in the morning. That tends to be my typical, although I am going to make it more like 1 tonight. So I'm probably going to be winding this up in a little bit because I've got to pack the car and drive tomorrow up to go camping. Okay. Claws and the spikes on his back, the plates on his back. Black, dark brown. What do you think? What do you think, gang? What do you think? I'm going to go. And the spines in the wings. I don't even know that I want to make these. I don't know if I want to make them different colors. I'm kind of fine with them the way they are. If I want to do anything in color, it's going to be very subtle. Like going from, this is what I used for the inside of the wings, maybe going from that to this. Yeah, that's what I'll do. We'll try that. Good night. Good night, Midnight. Midnight's up past midnight, so he has lived up to his name. You have a very good night, sir. I shall see you around the internet. I hope you got more stuff coming out for us on your channel. If you don't know Midnight's channel, do check it out. It's got good stuff. Good stuff. Just starting out, but good stuff. Good stuff so far. Oh man, yeah, I think that's probably you can barely tell. Kind of turn into a pumpkin. I'll tell you what. I will tomorrow. I'll put, well, when I'm done tonight. So when you're up tomorrow, I will have posted a picture of this on the Discord server probably, and on the probably do a post here on YouTube. If you're not on the Discord server, the Dungeon Minister Discord, or the CleriCon Discord server. I guess that's for CleriCon attendees. I mean, anyone can join it, but I'll put it here on this. On this, there really are only 2 spines that run through the wing. Top spine being wrapped in the skin that is the green. I don't know. Okay. Got a couple spines there. Claws bone white. Hey, you know what? See ya, Jane. See ya, Jane. Everyone's turning into pumpkins here. But then I did do this on a Monday, so if you're not on vacation, then you've got work tomorrow, and I'm on vacation, but others aren't. I don't have a bone white, but I have a cream white, and that'll probably have to do. So you think the claw is white? The teeth, certainly. Should I do the inside of the mouth? Yeah, I should probably get something on the inside of the mouth. You know what? Gray is going to be fine. The inside of the mouth is gray. That is now canon. That is official D&D canon. The inside of a green dragon's mouth is gray. You can tell that to WotC. All artists working in the industry must now adhere to that standard, because I'm not sticking a brush inside the mouth of this dragon. I always find painting the teeth a nervous moment because they're so small, so aiming at them is not terribly easy. And I'm afraid I'm going to overshoot and smear across the face or something. And of course, saying that probably makes it more likely, because I'm thinking about it and my hand will go where my thoughts go. Do you ever watch those dash cam channels that show people driving badly? Occasionally I'll get into a death spiral of those on YouTube. And I think, good heavens. I watch those, and then the next time I go driving, I'm all nervous. Some idiot's going to go flying across the median at me. Smile. Oh, that is a bright smile. I'm going to paint the claws brown first and then a cream white over top. Cool. That would be a good idea. Yeah, full of good ideas. I was going to put a little bit of this yellow over those teeth. Falling into those holes, I tell you, you get on there and you watch a couple, and then the algorithm says, oh, he likes it. Mikey likes it, and then you get nothing but for the rest of the night. Ooh, the yellow over the white works for the teeth. He should brush. So I don't know if I've bragged yet. I know I have ranted about how Fleetwood's 9th grade was too easy. I don't know if I've bragged yet. He ended up with a 95% overall in, I think he got like a 98 in English. So really a good job. Really a good job. He could, you know what? Smokey the Bear says he should. Smokey the Bear says he should. Okay, I'm going to try that brown with some white over it, see how that works. These are not particularly translucent paints. They're not particularly, they're pretty opaque, but maybe it'll, who knows? Who knows? Worth a try. It's worth a try anyway. Yeah, he brought home, and it's one of those times he brings home this report card. I'm like, okay, that's it. We're doing a paternity test here, because you can't be my kid getting grades like that. I was an awful student in high school. I did very well in university. Once I was paying for it, then I suddenly took it more seriously. But yeah, my high school, not good. You know why? Because I was doing D&D all the time. I was at home writing adventures rather than writing essays. I remember my time in high school English, and we did Chaucer. I can still recite the beginning of. I can still recite the beginning of this brown. This is really a very light brown, I have to say. I'm thinking you probably meant a darker brown, judging by the remark about leaving the brown visible near the bottoms. Anyway, I can still recite the beginning of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. One that April with her shirasota, the drought the marsh had pierced to the rota, and bathed every vine in switch liqueur, of which vertu engendered is the fleur. When Zephyrus ake with his sweete breath, inspired ath and every oat beneath, the tender crop is in the young sun, hath in the ram his half course Euron. So pricketh him nature in her garages, that longing folk to go on pilgrimages. Yeah, I could still rattle off Chaucer. What would that be now? Frightening number of years later, 25 years later? No. 35 years later. Yes, it's Middle English. Actually, it's Middle English Chaucer. But I can still rattle that off 35 years later. I keep trying to say 25 like I'm 40 something, but no, I'm 50 something. So, and I think about what they had him do. It's like, wow, like swatting a fly with a Buick, asking Fleetwood to do that really potsy level of work. Oh well. He was a mighty student this year, so quite proud of the lad. And he also got an achievement award, which was an award not for academics, which he obviously did excellently in, but an award for like attitude and helpfulness and just being an overall decent human being, which I have to say I'm equally proud of, perhaps even more so than the academics. The academics blows me away, though. That one, partly because it's an obviously like measurable. It's always wonderful to hear people say nice things about your kids. So the achievement award is quite good. I'm very happy with that. But the academics blows me away because it's so not who I was as a kid. Actually, you know what? I may just tip those with white. Again, you're not gonna be able to see. But I may just tip those with white. It is inspirational. Like I because I was not a happy camper at school, and he wasn't either. He had a hard time, not academically, obviously, but he had a hard time with some real jerks, and with how, frankly, kind of easy the material was. He was not happy with that, but he still persevered enough to make an impression as someone who deserved recognition for a good attitude and helping to create a good space for other people, for other students. Which, like, hey, that's pretty cool. I like that. And I kind of wonder, like, how much does D&D contribute to that? I am very proud of him, Nordic. I am. I wonder how much D&D contributes to that. Like, cooperative, because it specifically was noted for really working well in groups. And I wonder how much of that is about, delving dungeons with other kids, and so how much of that is about the positive influence of a very, very social game, right? Because it's not a video game where he's alone. It's not it's not even a competitive game where it's him against the rest of the group, right? It's a very like, let's get this done together kind of thing. And one of the things I love about old school is that everyone has talents, and everyone's talents are brought to bear, right? Like, no one's defeating the dragon alone. You're going to need a softening up with the spell, and then you're going to need the thief who goes around and gets the thing from behind. You're going to need they don't have a cleric, but you're going to need the cleric to heal you, and you're going to need this cooperative approach, or it's not going to happen. And if anyone pulls a Leroy Jenkins, it's all over. So I kind of wonder how much of his success could be attributed to having played role-playing games a lot in the sort of years just leading up to his attending school. Defeated the dragon alone. He took one look at my two-handed holy sword, wreathed in fire and light, and said, "Nope," and quit the field. And it's like, there's a real quality to giving kids that sort of collaborative, cooperative stuff. Folks, I am nearing the end of my capacity to keep painting, and but I long ago ran out of my capacity to be interesting. But some people would say that was shortly after birth. But I also think, other than the ground, which I need to clean up some sloppy green that I spilled there, and his back spikes. You're a paladin guy? I'm friendly with paladins because paladin starts with pal. Okay, maybe I can get the back spikes done. What should they be? Should the back spikes be the same color as the breastplate? I'm saying yes. I'm not even waiting for the judgment. I like that idea. And then I'll give him a little extra as well. But I'm going to start him out with that. I am looking forward. I mean, obviously, I'm really looking forward to CleriCon this year to see how two major, we actually had two spaces last year, but two major spaces, big for CleriCon. How that's going to work out. I think it's going to go okay. It's just a matter of having someone over there who can kind of answer the questions and be the contact person on that front. That's going to be interesting. Right, box more team oriented in the 5e. Well, you know what? General, I think it was because, I mean, if you look at 5e, and bless them, the first release of the rules was not the same as what is today, right? With all the supplements, because I think a lot of this is supplements. But now, like, barbarians can cast spells. I'm sorry, if any class is not a spellcaster, it's got to be the barbarian, right? That's got to be as far from spellcaster as you get. But now there's casting spells. And of course, I mean, I think a number of editions let wizards use swords and other weapons, and clerics now can wield bladed weapons, and so it's sort of a everyone can do everything, and especially spellcasting. Like, I'm reminded of that Oprah. You get a car, and you get a car, and you get a spell, and you get a spell, and you get a spell, right? You do that, and you simultaneously beef up the spellcaster so they're not as weak, right, comparatively. And then the spellcaster doesn't need the barbarian, and increasingly the barbarian doesn't need the spellcaster. So it does become everyone's a hero, everyone gets a prize kind of thing, right? And whereas before, if your spellcaster was going to live, he had to be careful. She had to be careful, and she had to stay behind the fighter, and the if you had a well armored cleric, you'd stay behind them. Get behind the dwarf, shoot your magic missile, fire sleep at the enemy, but then get the heck out of the way because you're going to get killed. But then a few levels in, let the magic user deal with this one, because it's one good spell, and good night Irene, right? Model looks good from your perspective. Model is perfect. I like it. It is looking good from my perspective. I'm gonna do. I'm even gonna do this now. I was gonna just like hit the hay, but I'm so close now that I wanna go ahead and just do this. Just do this. Lightly, lightly. Softly, softly, catchy monkey. Yeah, so I do think, General, that the old school games do a better job of spreading the skills around. It's not like there were no characters that got carried. I mean, in the early game, your magic user did a lot of role playing and watching the passage behind you. Throwing some daggers, casting the one spell at a critical moment. I did a heist sort of adventure with a group that I run out of the local game shop, although we don't game there anymore. And it was a heist, and that one, everyone had. There was this one, like when they actually went in for there was a lot of setup. When they actually went in for the heist, everyone did their thing. Like, the magic user slept the guard. The elf had knock, so she opened the door. The dwarf had to fight the living statue. The dwarf and the cleric fought the living statue, but the cleric blessed the dwarf so that he had, better. Didn't bless on the whole party, but specifically the dwarf was the one doing the fighting, so he had a better chance. Everyone contributed, and it was perfect. Okay, I'm going to take another dry brush highlights. Let's see, should I do? Oh, I think I don't want to get greedy, going to leave it here. I'll look at it again later. I was going to say in the morning, but in the morning I'm going to be packing the car. I'm going to look at that. I'll look at it later, but I'm going to take a picture now so as you can see where it's at this point. Even in the picture, some of the greens don't blend as well as they do in life, you could say. Some of the things don't pop. I need more pop on the scales on the back, I think. But for now, it'll do. So let me see. Get some more photos up here. I just have to upload from my phone. I haven't done the eyes and that kind of stuff. I will do that later. But ooh, washed out. There. That's better. Okay. Yeah. You sneezed while sitting in an awkward position. Well, that's, that happens at our age, Oh, he's sideways. There. Yeah, it's the back. I like the sort of mottled look on the metallic wax. Cool. Yeah, I like the mottled look on those wings. The sort of knobbly scales down the back, I think, need just a little bit more pop on them. But overall, I think that looks pretty good. This is, yeah, that's looking pretty good. I like that guy. I like it. It's funny, on this camera, those greens look cartoonishly bright, but they really aren't. Thank you. In person, the arms and everything, it all blends together much better than it does in the picture. But the picture looks better than this camera. All right, so okay. Well, everyone, it is late. You should all go to bed. So should I. And where did I put my glasses? So I'm gonna head for bed, and yeah, this buddy can what can even do? Yeah, it's funny thing is, like, in the picture it kind of just looks cruddy, but in person the claws look really good. Anyway, I'm gonna head for bed. You should do the same. You got woken up by pain. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, General. That, I know the feeling. My arm, for whatever reason. Old Grognard. Hello, good night. I will, thank you. I'll do my best. I'll do my best to enjoy. You all have a good evening, and I will see you when I see you. All right.